Tribute to America's Fallen Foundation has put together a traveling memorial called the GoldStars Tribute Wall to honor our country's fallen war heroes. The Tribute Wall is a symbol for communities to come together to honor, respect, and remember those who have given the ultimate sacrifice for their countries, and to educate all to the cost of freedom. 3 years in the making, this 91-foot long and 9-foot high memorial stands as a symbolic tribute to the men and women who have put their lives on the line and dedicated themselves to defending our freedoms. The 16 panels forming the wall honor the over 7,000 servicemen and women who gave the ultimate sacrifice during the Gulf War, Iraq War, and Afghanistan War, as well as the 80,000 American military personnel dating back to World War II who are still missing today. We must never forget that freedom comes with a high price, says Samuel Nikora, president and founder of Tribute to America's Fallen Foundation. The Tribute Wall will remind us of the fallen and keep the spirit of our country's heroes alive. This monument stands for the soldiers, sailors, airmen, Coast Guards, and Marines who never returned home to their loved ones.
Some time back, I received, in the name of our country, the bodies of 4 Marines who had died while on active duty. I said then that there is a special sadness that accompanies the death of a serviceman, for we're never quite good enough to them. Not really, we can't be, because what they gave us is beyond our powers to repay. And so when a serviceman dies, it's a tear in the fabric, a break in the whole, and all we can do is remember. It is, in a way, an odd thing to honor those who died in defense of our country, in defense of us, in wars far away. The imagination plays a trick. We see these soldiers in our mind as old and wise. We see them as something like the founding fathers, grave and gray-haired. But most of them were boys when they died, and they gave up 2 lives, the one they were living and the one they would have lived. When they died, they gave up their chance to be husbands and fathers and grandfathers. They gave up their chance to be revered old men. They gave up everything for our country, for us. We owe them a debt we can never repay. All we can do is remember them and what they did and why they had to be brave for us.
was getting old and paunchy, and his hair was falling fast. And he sat around the Legion telling stories of the past, of a war that he had fought in, and the deeds that he had done, in his exploits with his buddies. They were heroes, every one. And though sometimes to his neighbors his tales became a joke, all his Legion buddies listened, for they knew whereof he spoke. But we'll hear his tales no longer, for old Bill has passed away. The world's a little poorer, for a soldier died today. He will not be mourned by many, just his children and his wife, for he lived an ordinary and quite uneventful life. He held a job and raised a family, quietly going his own way. And the world won't note his passing, though a soldier died today. When politicians leave this earth, their bodies lie in state, while thousands note their passing and proclaim that they were great. Papers tell their whole life stories from the time that they were young, but the passing of a soldier goes unnoticed and unsung. Is the greatest contribution to the welfare of our land a guy who breaks his promise and cons his fellow man? Or the ordinary fellow who in times of war and strife goes off to serve his country and offers up his life? A politician's stipend and the style in which he lives are sometimes disproportionate to the service that he gives, while the ordinary soldier, who has offered up his all, is paid off with a medal and perhaps a pension, small. It's so easy to forget them, for it was so long ago that the old bills of our country went to battle. But we know it was not the politicians with their compromises and ploys who won for us the freedom that our country now enjoys. Should you find yourself in danger with your enemies at hand, would you want a politician with his ever-shifting stand? Or would you prefer a soldier who has sworn to defend his home, his kin and country, and would fight until the end? He was just a common soldier, and his ranks are growing thin. But his presence should remind us we may need his like again. For when countries are in conflict, then we find the soldier's part is to clean up all the troubles that the politicians start. If we cannot do him honor while he's here to hear the praise, then at least let's give him homage at the ending of his days. Perhaps just a simple headline in a paper that would say, "Our country is in mourning, for a soldier died today."
The mission of the Tribute to America's Fallen Foundation is to bring awareness to the general public about the sacrifices made by our military's brave men and women in an effort to maintain our nation's constitutional freedoms. We strive to honor and pay tribute to those who have paid the ultimate price for our liberties and remind their families that they will never be forgotten. Today, most Americans are not directly touched by war. As a consequence, not all Americans fully grasp the depths of sacrifice, the profound costs that are made in our name. Our troops and our military families understand this, but have you ever wondered whether the country fully appreciates what is happening? Let us never forget that our nation is still at war. Freedom is not free. It comes with an incredible cost. Since our nation's founding, millions of brave Americans have gone into harm's way so that we could enjoy the blessings of peace, prosperity, and freedom. Called on by their country, acting out of patriotism, and in the most dangerous of circumstances, soldiers, sailors, airmen, guardsmen, and Marines have demonstrated extraordinary courage in defending our country's principles. They left behind their families, their friends, their hopes, and their dreams. Some never return home to them ever again. From Bunker Hill to Berlin to Baghdad, American troops have died to liberate millions from the forces of tyranny. They've stared evil in the eye, and they've stood for all that is good in the world. They've overcome obstacles and defied impossible odds. Even in death, their service brought light to places of darkness. Because of their heroism, their sacrifices have reverberated throughout the ages. Without a doubt, we all sleep in a much safer and freer America tonight because of their bravery and sacrifice. Every day, our thoughts are on those heroes who have paid the ultimate sacrifice for their country, and our prayers of comfort are with their families. The Americans who die fighting for our country deserve the solemn gratitude of each and every one of their fellow citizens. Our devotion to their memory must be as boundless and endless as their devotion and sacrifice was to us. Let us never forget the sacrifices they make in our name. We must never allow the sacrifice of our Gold Star mothers, fathers, and family members to fade into obscurity. They represent the legacy of their fallen sons and daughters who died in the service of our nation. These families carry with them a pain and grief that most of us cannot imagine or even understand. In the midst of all their grief, they stand as beacons of sunshine to those of us who understand that freedom is never truly free. As President Lincoln once said, "I pray that our Heavenly Father may assuage the anguish of your bereavement and leave you only the cherished memory of the loved and lost and the solemn pride that must be yours to have laid so costly a sacrifice upon the altar of freedom." We as Americans can never forget that the freedom we enjoy every day is often paid for in the blood and tears of others. We can never allow those thousands of soldiers, sailors, airmen, guardsmen, and Marines to be forgotten, nor lose sight of their sacrifice. The tribute wall is a symbol through which collectively we pay tribute to our countrymen who stepped forward, put their lives on the line, and defended the many freedoms that we cherish. It's because of these brave men and women who never returned home to their loved ones that we must never forget the importance of the tribute wall. Sergeant First Class Nathan Chapman, 1st Special Forces Group, was the first American soldier killed in support of Operation Enduring Freedom in Afghanistan on January 4, 2002. He exemplifies the very best of all of us today, as well as a generation who came before and after. Like him, many have served with honor and put the welfare of the nation before their own. They remind us that real freedom comes with a high price. We need the tribute wall to remind us that we must never be lulled into a false sense that today's world is safe and free from all-out war. We need the tribute wall so we will never allow our Gold Star mothers and fathers to fade into obscurity. They represent the legacy of their sons and daughters who died in the service of our country. These people carry with them a grief that most of us will never know or understand. In the midst of their pain, they are beacons of sunshine. They strive to keep the memory of their soldier, sailor, airman, guardsman, or Marine alive by working to help veterans, soldiers, and their families. We need the tribute wall so that we never forget the more than 80,000 American military personnel dating back to World War II who are still missing. We will never leave a fallen comrade. This sentence from the Soldier's Creed speaks to every American of our duty to ensure we never give up and never forget our sons and daughters who are missing. Freedom is an accepted norm, but it comes with a high price. Since the wars in Iraq and Afghanistan officially ended, we cannot allow our patriotic fervor to die. We must never let the sacrifice of the thousands who gave their all be forgotten. We cannot lose sight that our country has committed our greatest treasure, our sons and daughters, to defend our freedom. We must never forget that the American warrior is an integral part of the fabric that makes us the greatest nation on earth. We must never forget that we need them and the tribute wall. Let us never forget to always remember the sacrifice they make in our name. May God bless our troops and their families.